going to be talking about nitric oxide, which is kind of forms a unifying principle behind so many things that we know are good for us, like exercising or drinking more water, eating vegetables, taking probiotics. What these all have in common is they increase the amount of nitric oxide in your body. And nitric oxide has a lot of different, significantly positive effects. We've got all these different diets that have been proven to help people live longer and healthier, like the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, vegetarianism. What they all have in common is an emphasis on foods that increase the amount of nitric oxide in your blood, in your cells, in your brain. When this research first started, not many scientists thought nitric oxide was even worth looking at. Only about 40 research papers a year were being published on the subject, most of those coming out of a single lab. And when that lab's scientists won the Nobel Prize for its work on nitric oxide, it electrified the scientific community. 5 years later, more than 7,500 papers a year were being published about nitric oxide. The number of things scientists have discovered that improve when you have more nitric oxide in your body is really impressive. People sleep better, they have more energy, they're in better moods, they have less heart disease, less cancer, and have a better long-term memory. Nitric oxide plays an important role in your immune system. It kills bacteria, viruses, fungus, and promotes the healing of wounds and injuries. It helps people lose weight by stimulating the burning of fat. It keeps the veins free of plaque. It can delay or even prevent arteriosclerosis. It makes your blood vessels dilate, which lowers your blood pressure. It increases blood flow, increasing endurance and strength. One of the men who won the Nobel Prize for discovering the effect nitric oxide has inside the human body said he believes heart disease can be essentially eliminated by doing things that keep your nitric oxide level high. That's a big statement from someone with his credentials. Nitric oxide also functions as a neurotransmitter, helping to process nerve signals as they cross synapses. The first thing researchers discovered is that nitric oxide dilates blood vessels, which means it relaxes the smooth muscle cells that line arteries, veins, and lymphatic channels, allowing blood, nutrients, and oxygen to flow more easily through your body. Nitric oxide also prevents blood clotting, so it reduces the chance of heart attacks and strokes. It can lower your cholesterol level. It also prevents bad cholesterol from oxidizing and even worse artery clogging forms. It lowers the risk of diabetes. It also triggers the pituitary gland to release human growth hormone, which stimulates your body to build and repair and heal your muscle, bone, and skin. What is it? Nitric oxide is a signaling compound. The body uses it as a communication device. The strange thing about it is that it's a gas. It's released by your body into your body as a gas. That's why it was hard to discover. The molecule's lifespan is only a second or two. Luckily, you have many different pathways for raising the amount of nitric oxide in your body. For example, some foods like spinach and beets contain a high amount of nitrite and nitrate, which your body can convert into nitric acid. Some of that conversion occurs in your mouth by probiotic bacteria in your saliva. When you drink enough water, you make it easier for your body to make nitric oxide. There's an amino acid that your body converts to nitric oxide. It's called L-arginine. And there's an enzyme that your body uses to convert that amino acid into nitric oxide. And when you drink enough water, it helps that enzyme do its job. So when people don't drink enough water, their body is not as good at making nitric oxide. Some foods, like pumpkin seeds, contain more of that protein, L-arginine, than other foods. If you eat more of that protein, you'll have more of the raw material your body needs to make nitric oxide. Some foods, like watermelon, contain L-citrulline, which helps make the enzyme that your body uses to convert L-arginine into nitric oxide. I know, it's getting kind of technical. Some foods, like blueberries and cherries, contain anthocyanins, which prevent nitric oxide from being oxidized too quickly, which allows it to have more of a positive effect on your body. When you exercise moderately, it stimulates your body to produce more nitric oxide. If you exercise too vigorously, it produces too many free radicals and actually lowers the amount of nitric oxide in your body. Fasting stimulates your body to produce nitric oxide. Just about anything known to be good for you probably increases nitric oxide in your body. Turmeric, for example, raises the amount of nitric oxide in your body. Leafy green vegetables contain a high amount of nitrate and nitrite that your body can convert into nitric oxide. Apples contain polyphenols that help your saliva convert those nitrates and nitrites into nitric oxide. Here's an interesting tidbit. Since there is bacteria in your saliva that convert nitrate and nitrite into nitric acid, when you use a mouthwash, it lowers the amount of nitric oxide in your body because it kills those bacteria. Here's another one. Caffeine increases your blood vessels' output of nitric oxide. Are you intrigued about this as I am? It all sounds good, of course, but is it safe? Can you have too much nitric oxide? Louis Ignarro, the man I mentioned above, who won the Nobel Prize along with two of his colleagues, said, "At extraordinarily high concentrations, nitric oxide is toxic. These levels, however, cannot be reached through the body's internal mechanisms for producing nitric oxide from either food and supplement intake or from exercise. At relatively low levels within the body, the kind that can be attained through food, supplements, and exercise, nitric oxide can dramatically influence our health in positive ways." I mentioned that all the diets known to reduce heart disease and cancer have nitric oxide in common, but not all the foods in those diets are high in nitric oxide. So this discovery helps us be more precise with our diet. There are other factors in food that are good for you, of course, but a big one has been hidden because it's a gas. And now that we know about it, we can make even better choices. It's worth looking into. And I think Ignaro's book, No More Heart Disease, is a really good place to start. If you have a question about this or anything, or just want to make a comment, write to me at adamcon@usa.com. And please subscribe to my blog, adamleecon.com. I've also published this podcast as an article on my blog too, if you'd like to share it with somebody in that form. Okay, this is Adam Lee Kahn on The Atom Bomb. This Atom Bomb podcast episode is sponsored by Anchor, a podcast platform, the one I'm using to make this podcast. It's super easy to use and allows you to easily create your own podcast. You can record and edit your audio right onto the app. In fact, you can do everything on your phone. Anchor also makes it easy to monetize your podcast and get wide distribution. Anchor automatically makes your podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You can download the Anchor app for free or go to anchor.fm to get started.